Hello, my loyal listeners. Thanks so much for supporting the podcast. This experiment is turning into a much bigger success than I could have imagined. That's thanks to you. So please keep on subscribing and sharing. My goal is 1,000 downloads by Remembrance Day. Are you guys aware that I wrote a book? Yeah, that's right. I wrote a book. It's called The Nimble Warrior. It's a guide to moving better, improving performance, and reducing injury. So why did I write this book? Well, after I got back from Afghanistan, I was a bit banged up. I kind of screwed up my back. And slowly but surely, I started just degenerating to the point where I couldn't really move properly and I couldn't enjoy the things that I really enjoyed in life, like training and playing sports and playing with my son. So you know what? I said, I got to make a change, and I did. So I worked with a coach, and I found out all kinds of new cool shit that I put in the book that helped me get from being kind of immobile and stuck in bed to being able to do all the things I love again. So check out the book. The link is in the show notes, thenimble.warriorbook.com. Head to the website, and you know what? I'm giving my book away for free. All I need to do is cover shipping and handling. I've got limited quantity, so get on it. Hop on it. Get it. And even better than that, you get a book, I give $1 to the Wounded Warriors Canada Fund. How's that sound? All right, guys, let's get to the episode. You want to know the best part of running this podcast? Is just being able to meet awesome people. Afton is no different. Man, we had such a cool conversation. She is a badass chick, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy this episode. And not only that, she's got a really good cause that everybody should be paying attention to. So without further ado, here's episode 13 with Afton Maisonneuve.
Welcome to the Hard to Kill podcast, the go-to podcast for military, LEO, and EMS professionals, sharing ideas and experiences from around the world to make you hard to kill. Here's your host, Dave Morrow.
All right. Cool. All right. So, Afton, it's a pleasure to have you on. It was Dave, Dave Sutcliffe, who's episode 12.
The other Dave.
The other Dave. Yeah, these are the Daves that I know. These are the Daves that I know. Yeah, I've had a few Daves on, and Dave was like, "Hey, I've got somebody that I think would be a great fit for the podcast. She's a badass. Not to mention, she's also a Cameron as well." I was like, "Cool, I can have Camerons on." I mentioned in the last episode that I don't know how I feel about having foot guards on, but definitely.
I also don't know how I feel about you having foot guards on, Dave.
Therefore, I said, okay, yeah, for sure, I got to reach out. So this is the result of just a simple text message and me doing a little bit of intel work on you. Afton, like, you've got a lot going on. Why don't you give the listeners a little background as to who you are and what makes you so, I don't want to say special because that's probably going to put you on the spot, but what makes you unique right now in the world?
First of all,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I was dragging. I was trailing on a little bit there. Sorry.
That's all right. I got you. First of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I have listened to your podcast. I've heard about your book. I haven't read it yet. I'm planning on reading it. I'm very humbled to be here, and also listening to your podcast with all the other really cool people that you've had on. I really truly don't think I can even hold a candle to any of them. So, including Dave, but don't tell him that.
We'll see how his downloads go. We'll see, then we'll make a judgment. It's very new. It's a very new episode.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm just really happy to be here. So I guess, who am I? Right now I am a reservist with the Cameron Highlanders of Ottawa. I'm a corporal there. I'm also a lawyer, so that's my full-time job in the civilian world. I practice in real estate, wills and estates, estate planning, estate administration, and I also do corporate work as well, and nonprofit and charity organizations. So it's kind of a wide scope of practice, but what I guess I really love about it the most is that there's so much to learn every day. It's just a new issue that I get to nerd out on and figure out a solution for my clients, which makes me really happy. So that's two. I am also a wannabe athlete.
Come on, you're being humble. Come on, you're being humble.
So I come from rugby, like a competitive rugby background. I played all throughout high school. After high school, I played Eastern Ontario. And then I actually took about 7 years off where I was actually sedentary. So I wasn't really, there was a couple of years there where I wasn't doing anything physical. I wasn't healthy at all either. And then I kind of got back on the bike, literally just bike to work basically because I was forced to do that. And then I started doing triathlons and stuff. And then I finally applied to law school. And I figured I was in really great shape and why not try out for the rugby team? And I made the rugby team. So I played for the Ottawa GGs for 4 years. I played Team Quebec as well for my final year. And that was kind of the pinnacle of my rugby career. And now I'm just kind of like an old gal who still loves to play rugby when she can. And this year, and I guess this answers your second question, what makes me unique? This year, I've decided to take on Fight for the Cure, which is Ottawa's only white-collar boxing event, and it supports the Ottawa Regional Cancer Foundation, which is Ottawa's basically local cancer care organization. They offer cancer coaching. They have an unbelievable clinical trial program set up, and their research facilities, I truly think they're going to cure cancer one day. And cancer affects everyone. So what this event is in a nutshell is they take 12 non-boxers, so white-collar people. So I guess now that I'm a lawyer, I fall into that category, even though I really don't.
Oh, you're part of the problem. Those white collar people.
Part of the problem.
Part of that 1%. Part of that 1%.
Oh my goodness, never. And so they take 12 total non-boxers, 12 white collar folks, and they train them for 8 months to essentially put on a 3-round, so Olympic style boxing match. So I've been doing that. We're 16 days out now. And not only have we all been training for 8 months, but we've also been raising as much money as we possibly can. So some of us have more lofty goals than others. I personally have a goal of $10,000 and I'm almost at, I think actually you helped me break $7,000. So I appreciate that, Dave, very, very much.
Very welcome. Very well. At least we can do it.
So yeah, I've managed to raise $7,000 and I have 16 days left to raise 3,000 more. And I'm hoping that this, along with some more kind of being really annoying on social media, will help me get there. And so in addition to 2 days a week of boxing, I've also been doing at least 3 days a week of strength and conditioning, acts towards boxing and stuff. So it's been a good time. And now that Army's ramped up again after the summer, that's kind of thrown an additional curveball with, trying to train for ruck marches and not being a total shit pump, basically. So yeah.
Well, weren't you just didn't you just get you said you're going on X this weekend, aren't you? Isn't that?
Yeah, exactly. So so when you sent me the questionnaire last night, I was like, I'll answer this. So I had just finished boxing and I boxed yesterday in the morning as well. I have a really good friend who's been kind of just doing pads with me as much as possible, especially as we were kind of ramping up because you hit your peak, right? And then you just taper down. That'll be the last week, but I'm trying to get as much time in pad work and just skill work because boxing is friggin' hard. It is a really hard sport. I had never done it before. The contact part, super good to go with.
You're talking about getting punched in the face. You're good. You're good.
Getting punched in the face. That, it took me a lot less time to get used to that than other people because I was using the contact element, right? On the rugby pitch, I'm basically the disruptive asshole that you don't want to play against because that's my role on the field. But it's so different. Getting punched in the face, it's I will not lie, totally cried when it happened the first time. I got cracked in the face because I was leaning into it, just clow, and I was just I didn't cry on the spot, but I needed to and I was I need to. So I finished the round. I had to excuse myself, went to the washroom, cried a bit.
Some deep sobs. It's not so bad. What did I get myself into? Get back in there.
Why am I doing this? And then, but whenever that stuff happens, it's really important for me. And I've been trying to focus on the fact that doesn't even, again, hold a candle to the struggle that people who are living and surviving cancer go through every day. So that's the driving kind of force behind this whole almost a year. So there have been ups and downs, but that has really, helped me kind of get through the downs. And I say downs like with a grain of salt. Relatively speaking, these are not even remotely what some other people, the adversity that other people face. So I consider myself very, very fortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's commendable. I mean, you're putting in more effort for going into the boxing ring than most people ever do in their lives for any cause, really. So the fact that you're willing to get punched in the face for cancer, that's huge.
Yeah,
I've never boxed.
I had a hashtag. I did a hashtag. I was like, I'm gonna get punched in the face, and I'm gonna punch my opponent in the face, so we can punch cancer in the face. So it was like hashtag punch cancer in the face.
Punch cancer in the face. Yeah, I actually watched your the little YouTube spot there. I did my little intel work before getting on this.
So crazy.
Well, cringeworthy is all relative, right? Like for me, like my original videos, and I look back at them and I'm like, man, I need to delete these. I gotta get rid of these. But you know what? No, I refuse to. I thought your video was awesome. It was the production value was quite good. And I got a ton of information from it too. Like obviously you had family members that you lost to cancer, so there's a personal element to getting in the ring. And I think I don't know of a family that isn't touched by cancer. So it's so visceral, right? Like, was it 3 years ago? I think I did the ride to conquer cancer from Montreal to Quebec City.
Yes. Yeah.
No training whatsoever. I just hopped on my bike.
How did your crotch feel after that?
I'm still recovering. I'm surprised I had kids. I'm really surprised.
But you've had 2 kids now, so you're fine.
Yeah.
Like we know it works.
Like, when you're paying in the field and you're just like, man, I can't believe I have like another day of this. Like it's raining, you're sore, you're exhausted. I had to go into the pain cave on that bike. I was by myself. My friends had left me. I was just unable to go on without like just having to go into that pain cave. So yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So it actually made it well worth the fight. Cause I was like, man, I can't tap out. Like it was going through my mind. Like you said, like, you're getting punched in the face. Like it pales in comparison what people with cancer actually have to go through. So just suck it up and get through it, man. Like at the end of the day, you're going to go home and have a nice meal and you'll be, healthy. So very, very commendable. So what was it that kind of got you into this charity event? Like it was
adventure.
Like did somebody approach you, or were you just like, that's a cool thing, I'm going to go learn how to box?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. So one of the partners at my law firm, Lisa Langevin. So this event has been going on for about a decade, over that now. This is the same charity boxing event that Justin Trudeau participated in a couple years ago.
Oh, and he kicked the crap out of what was his name? Not Barito. Was it Barito?
Shoot. Well, anyway, his opponent was another.
He was a senator,
politician. Yeah. So he did. And I say this is very convenient because I don't know when you're going to release this, but like last night was before the French language debate, right? So Justin Trudeau actually went and like boxed and stuff before to like get him, in the game and his mind in the zone. So I was like, yeah, I feel that. Anyway, so this is the one that Justin Trudeau did a couple of years ago. And one of the partners, sorry, not my partner, because I'm not a partner yet. One of the partners at my law firm, female, Lisa Langevin, she's pretty badass. She plays Gaelic football. And she was the first.
So do I.
Yeah. Nice. Gaelic football is hard. I tried it out last year and I was like, yeah, I don't have enough hand-eye coordination for this shit. I'm just aggressive. So it is fun though. It's very fun. So she's pretty cool. Her and her best friend, Daphne Ballard, were the first women to ever do this event last year. So they're like the trailblazers, and they're the ones, to be quite frank with you, who inspired me to do it, because I was lucky enough to be in the crowd last year. So I watched it. I was like, oh man, this is so cool. And to be honest, and this isn't like some skewed feminist view, like the female fight was the most dynamic and athletic of the entire evening. Like they were unreal. They were so exciting, so fast. Like it was just unbelievably entertaining. I was like, I think we need more women to do this. Also, I think I maybe need to be one of those women because I would like to do this. This looks like fun, and it looks like just I love challenging myself. I'm sure that you totally understand it. There's kind of a rush about like taking on a challenge and like eating the mountain one bite at a time, and it's just something that gets you going.
Yeah,
So
roger that. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. May I take a stab, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but
yeah.
the reason why the women's fight is probably a bit better is because women take things a bit more seriously. And when they get to they get like a task like this, they're like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna learn everything possible with no ego. And then you get some dudes
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm good, bro. Yeah, throw me in, man. I know how to fight. Yeah, I've had a few bar brawls. I'll kick some ass. And then it's just, nah, bro. No, you're
But dudes bring that innate confidence that a lot of women lack. You know what I mean? So it's like
110%,
we complement
110.
each other, and it's yeah, the strengths and weaknesses. I don't even know if it's weaknesses, but just things that complement each other. So it's funny how that innate confidence helps dudes in so many other ways, and where that what you said, that kind of cerebral thinking about taking on tasks and really kind of trying to do a great job. That the way women do things, the way men do things, it's totally different, but they really do complement each other, man.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not pretending I'm not like that. That's exactly that's how I get into everything. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that, and then a month before, an event, I'm like, oh shit, I better really start practicing now, and it just like my army run. Yeah, I put a little bit more effort into it, but I could have put more. It's like all these little things. Like it's just you have the most amount of confidence possible until you get to the actual event and you're doing it like, oh man, it's like my bike, man, it fell apart, man. I didn't even get on a bike before. I'm like, yeah, I know how to ride a bike. Yeah, I've never been on a bike for 230 kilometers though. So
Yeah, that's a good go. That's a good ride.
So it's very commendable of you. So explain kind of like, I'm curious as to know a little bit about the training. So, you said 3 days a week. What do you like? Obviously you're working on technical stuff, but you're doing a lot of conditioning as well. Can you just, let us in on the secrets?
Yeah. So secrets. Well, I'll tell you what you already know and what a lot of people who are into fitness already know. There's no secret and there's no rocket science. It's just put in the work. So I have my strength and conditioning coach, Adam Blandford, actually the guy who mentioned your book, to my partner who, was training for combat dive. He has been unbelievable in just getting me ready and trying to set me up for success as much as possible. So my opponent is like an elite CrossFitter. She's actually a really cool chick. She's a good friend of mine, actually. Her name is Megan Apostolaris. So we knew that she's really fit, right? So the focus was working on my skill, developing that, and working on kind of boxing fit, because just like any sport, right, there's different fitness requirements for different sports. So with boxing, I've had to pound the pavement a little bit more than I'd like to. I don't think I'm necessarily built for running. So I've been doing a lot more of that, sprint work. So 2 days a week, we have an hour session, Mondays and Wednesday nights, with the coach, Scott Whitaker, who's the CEO of Fight for the Cure. And he's the one who basically started this whole event over 10 years ago. He trains us essentially. So it's 6 on Team Blue, 6 on Team Red. I'm on Team Blue. Go Blue! And it just works out because, of course, the Cameron Highlanders have a blue hackle. So it's all kind of intertwined and it all just complements itself. So it's been a good go. Lots of boxing. Monday and Wednesday nights we work on. Mondays we do kind of skill, pad work, shadow boxing, partner shadow stuff. So nothing crazy intense, but just to get us thinking about moving certain drills. So I call it the gauntlet. It's actually my favorite drill because one person goes in the middle of the ring and then the other 5 competitors, I guess, get like 1 minute each on that person. So that person doesn't get a break. So it works on your fitness, but also the drill is that the person in the middle only has their jab and their defense. So you basically have to, the person on the outside who gets a minute can be a bit more creative in their offense and stuff, but the person on the inside needs to be smart about their footwork and think about it. And it's basically the gauntlet. Like, it's like, just like you have, open season on that person for a minute and then hope that they're nice to you when they get their minute on you. So yeah, it's a good drill. And then Wednesdays are sparring days. So every Wednesday, I've been treating, so we go there and we actually have these unbelievable people, alumni from years ago. And I've been sparring with, he's actually had this 3-time national champ. Her name is Erica, come spar with us, the girls, because boxing a girl and boxing a boy are very different.
Hmm.
And we've been basically boxing the other boys throughout the majority of this training until probably 2 months ago when we had female alumni come back and box against us. And again, so different, so much faster, I
Really?
have to say. And and just different, just way different. Like when you get hit by a girl, it's like not like a freaking haymaker every time. Whereas if you get hit by a guy, and I'm not a small girl, like I'm 5'9", I weigh 160 pounds. Like I'm not like a wilting flower by any means. But if I get hit by a dude, it's like, oh, hey. It's like not fun. So it's nice sparring with a chick so that, you know, it's somewhat of an equivalency. So sparring against Erica has been more humbling than ever. And I started this whole journey and I was saying every single training session, it's like a big old slice of humble pie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's even more so. It's like I eat the entire goddamn pie when she comes to spar with us, because it's like she's so good. She's so kind though. Like she doesn't like go all out. She takes it easy on us, which is again even more humbling because it's like she's taking it easy on me. She's still kicking the shit out of me. And this girl's 5'3", like Jesus. Yeah. But you know, it's really cool. So that's part of that. And then, you know, aside from that, it's the 3 days a week of strength and conditioning, working on a lot of upper body. Adam is hilarious, my coach. He says, I don't care, because he of course doesn't care about the skill. He wants me to just be like really strong and fit. He's like, as long as every time you hit her, she sees stars, my job is done. And I'm like, okay. So we've been working on that. You know, just usual stuff. Yeah. So that's what we're working on. But the point is, of course, not to beat the crap out of each other. The point is to put on a good show, because everyone who's there, it's 1,000 people who are going to be watching this at the Hilton Lac Leamy in Gatineau. And I mean, they will have all paid at least $250 for a ticket, up to $400 each for a ticket, because you get like a 5-course meal, wine, all that good stuff. It's like a black tie event. I want us to put on a good show. I want us to be athletic. I want it to be like, I want to entertain everyone. You know what I mean? I want it to be exciting. And so that's important to me also, right? I want there to be a value there for what people are paying for, so that they want to come back next year and come to this and support this event next year, right? So
is it a 3-round bout?
3 rounds. So like professional boxing matches are 10, I think, right? So and then Olympic style.
Championship matches are usually 10 rounds. Yeah.
I'm no champ, so 3 rounds for me, my friend.
And okay, so since I've never boxed, so I'm going to use your experience. Could you imagine having to do 10 rounds, like just like all out for a championship match? Like
10 2-minute rounds. I can imagine it. I can definitely imagine it. And I think that the same principle applies. If you look at these championship matches, they're a lot kind of like, it's more of a steady flow. It's not quite as exciting, and there's not, it's very exciting, obviously, but there's not as much happening, because if you watch Olympic style boxing, they're getting their hits in as much as possible to get those points, because they only have 3 rounds, right? Whereas the 10 rounds, like, you want to avoid the other person getting points, and you want to be a bit smarter. And obviously, no matter how fit you are and no matter how elite you are, like you're going to have to pace yourself, because there's 10 rounds. So I can see it happening. I don't necessarily want to do it myself, but I would say there would be a lot more pacing and a lot more kind of intelligence involved. Just being smarter about your positioning, like range, especially, right? Staying out of the range, and then working on your in and out, like going in, getting your shots in, getting the hell out of there, but just being smart about it and just moving well, I would say would be a good way to, pace a 10 round. It would be a doozy.
Right. Are you a southpaw by any chance? Or
I am a southpaw.
Are you? I thought I saw it on the video. I'm like, I think she's a southpaw. Oh, yeah, 100%. Nelly.
Oh, what?
And so is your opponent, is she a southpaw as well?
No, she's orthodox.
Okay. All right. Oh, so it's going to be
like normal. Yeah. That's weird. This is the way it should be. This is the way.
I
shoot left too. Like I shoot left too. Like I actually right-handed, but my dominant eye is left. So I shoot left. I do everything else left. And I box left, but I'm a righty. In terms of writing, that's the only thing I do right-handed. It's very weird.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
So you're not really ambidextrous. You're just depending on what you're doing. Like if you play hockey, I'm assuming you shoot left-handed as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really play hockey. My partner's he's so patient. He's tried to show me how to take shots and stuff. And I tried, it was good. but I have yet to like actually play hockey because mostly I just don't want to make an ass of myself. Pretty good goalie though, because I'm just not afraid of the puck. So I'll just like sacrifice my body.
Yes. Goalies definitely have a unique skill set, but also definitely a unique mentality as well to get in the middle of a flying rubber disc going at 100.
Flying objects. Yep.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh, well, you know what? Like you mentioned Gaelic football, but everything you mentioned like about boxing and stuff like that, just the athleticism for boxing is impressive. Gaelic football, same thing too. And like you have to incorporate new skill sets. And when I started playing, I'm like, wait, I can kick this thing, but I can dribble it. Okay, I played basketball, and it's just like my brain was just
so weird, right?
It's so weird when you incorporate something new. It's like all these different things that you can do with the ball that you're like, but this isn't how we play sports. Like for any of our normal soccer, it's like your feet only, basketball, hands only, and then you incorporate both at the same time. But I also played hurling as well, which I enjoyed a lot more.
Curling?
No, hurling.
Hurling. I was like, curling. Okay.
No. Although very.
I was about to make fun of you a little bit.
Sorry, all the curlers out there. I have nothing but respect for you.
JK, curling's great. I hear we're really good at it in Canada.
Yeah, we're quite good. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
I actually like watching.
Like win Olympics and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually it's one of my favorite part of the Winter Olympics. Actually, I really enjoy it for whatever reason. I guess it's like our Canadian genes. Like they express themselves when it's curling time in the Olympics. I don't know, but no, I've been playing hurling with an H, and it's hurling. Yeah, it's part of that. It's part of the Gaelic Athletic Association. Like it's the two main sports. So Ottawa, you guys. I don't know if you know this, but you have a very good association, very good team. We played against them. They're crazy good. Toronto's even better. But it's a crazy fast game. Like it's just like, it's like a baseball that's getting hurled around, and you've got like a big wooden
Interesting.
Stick. Yeah, you got.
I'm gonna have to Google that. I have no idea what hurling is. I'm so sorry, and I feel like I'm giving you the same reaction that I get from people who are like, rugby. What? I'm like, shut up. It's like an international sport, man. Come on.
Perfect segue though. I want to touch base on your rugby career. But although
I told you, I got you.
Yeah, nice. Having never, I was just on. Okay, so here's a bit of a backstory. My buddy and my former colleague, so he's the one that kind of got me into podcasting because he started a podcast a few years back for rugby coaches. And he's like, I'm starting a podcast. And I'm like, what's a podcast? Like, is it just for nerds that want to talk about like gaming and stuff? He's like, nah, you don't know what you're talking about. So I listened to his podcast. It's wicked. It's the Rugby Coaches Corner. So shout out to Andy Plimer. And I was just on his podcast for rugby. And he's like, yeah, mate. He's like, although you've never played a game of rugby before in your life. I'm like, whoa. Let's pump the brakes here. In grade 7, I tried out for the rugby team. We had a little scrimmage going on. So he's like, that doesn't count. I'm like, all right. So my rugby is slim to none. Although I got a real appreciation for it in the last few years. I actually saw my first ever like professional rugby match in South Africa. I saw what's their team name? The Springboks.
Springboks?
Yeah, against the Argentinians, and they lost. And it was like a prep.
Yeah, Argentina's really good though.
Yeah,
I equate Argentina, Japan, just as up and coming, really awesome. Maybe almost tier 1 teams now. Like they're really good.
Oh yeah, and like it's the Rugby World Cup now, so it's like I guess every rugby player or coach or like Stanley Cup season. So it's just cool to watch, but I'd like to know like your perspective and history with the sport and like how that kind of led to everything you're doing now, because obviously you're athletic and you played for the GGs, I think, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
So I played rugby in high school. I also wrestled in high school, so I was kind of a jock, and I enjoyed it. It was good. Like my high school friends, one of whom I still speak to. I mean, I'm 33 now, so like it's been a little while. They say my high school uniform was like jeans, t-shirt, like bra, like sports bra. You know what I mean? Like I was just like a super like jockey type girl. Like, but also I don't know. I just enjoyed rugby throughout high school. I ended up playing Eastern Ontario after that, and then I took some time off. I didn't play rugby for a solid like 7 to 8 years. And shortly after high school, I was pretty sedentary. I didn't really do anything physical at all. I was, like I said, not particularly healthy. And then I just decided I worked at the Casino du Lac-des-Mie for about 5 years. And that's when I kind of started riding bicycles and getting into triathlons. I actually did Les Grands Défis Pierre Lavoie, which I'm sure you know about, being in Montreal for about 4 years. So cycling marathons, I totally appreciate how you felt with that 260 kilometers. I mean, like, yeah, it's wild. It's
awful.
Anyway, it's pretty terrible, very mind numbing, and you really have to go to that pain cave to just get through it. And then, you know, as long as you have something behind you driving you to do it, you're good to go. So I got back into playing rugby when I applied to law school, actually, when I actually did not get into law school my first go. And it's funny now that I look back at it, my life is essentially a series of failures that I just didn't accept. And I just kind of got back on and like tried again. I was like, well, it didn't work this time. I'll try again. So I took a year, brought my grades up, reapplied to law school, got in, and then I tried out for the rugby team, the U Ottawa GGs, and I got in. And it turns out that the coach, who is still the coach now, Jen Boyd, that was her first year as a coach at the U Ottawa GGs. I actually played with her when I played club rugby for the Ottawa Irish. Shout out to the Ottawa Irish Rugby Club. What? Yeah, it was actually hilarious. She said, you were really bad, but you were really fit. So I could work with that. I was like, okay, I'll take it. And I actually didn't start for a little while, for a couple games, because there was this other very, very athletic, much younger girl. Her name is Brianna. We called her Too Tall because she was just this like beautiful, super tall, athletic blonde girl. And there's so many girls like that on the rugby team. That's another reason why I love rugby so much, is because it's truly any body type. There's a place for you on the field. Like, there's a place where you'll be very effective and very useful on the field and appreciated. So it's pretty cool that it's a sport that really accepts all types of body types. You know what I mean? It's not like track and field where it's like, well, there's basically one body type that we're looking for, and that changes.
Unless you're a shot putter. Unless you're a shot putter
or like discus or whatever.
And then it's like, oh, you're 290 pounds? Yeah, okay. Yeah. You can throw something.
Yeah. So yeah, it was great. And I didn't start actually for a couple games. And then I got my chance, and I was just like, well, this is it. So I fucking just gave her. We were playing Laval, actually. That was in the first year. And we hadn't won. The program hadn't won against Laval in like 14 years, something ridiculous like that. And we won against Laval this year. And I just remember I had 20 minutes to just leave it all on the field to prove to the coaches that they should, like, I deserve to be there. And it wasn't me over this person. I was just like, I want you to see what I'm worth and that I can be effective and stuff. So I just fucking gave her on the field, made as many tackles as like, if I got up, I was tackling something else, get back up, tackle something else, just like be useful on the field. And we ended up winning against Laval. And then I basically started every game after that until basically my last year, where I started to taper out and kind of just play still a lot. But I wasn't starting as much anymore because it was time for the other people to take over and start and be what I was, I guess, for 3 years there. So really, really, really rewarding. I also got to play in Paris. I was in Paris for an internship during law school in the fall, and I got to play with Paris Olympique Rugby Club. Shout out to them. They're really great. And I played with them for a fall, which was awesome. Came back to Ottawa, continued to play with the GGs. And then my last year I played with Team Quebec, which was the pinnacle of my rugby career. A lot of the girls actually that I played GGs with were on Team Quebec. Some unbelievable athletes. And it's so crazy how I was already at a pretty high level playing with the GGs. I mean, they went on to win the national championship. After my last year, we won silver my last year at the national championship. Like, we just kept getting better and better. And I was already playing with some unbelievable athletes, but it's so crazy when you get to the provincial and then eventually national level. Like, all the players are just so surgical and everything. Every movement they do, they're so strong and so fast and agile and athletic and just good at their jobs. Mm-hmm. And like, you know, it is really like a job, right? Like, when we weren't training, we were watching video, we were analyzing things, we were analyzing the other team. I felt like I think about it now, I was like, that was a lot of work, but like, I really enjoyed that. It was cool kind of having that, being in that environment. not sustainable though. Like again, I was a little bit older than the other girl. So your body has a shelf life when you play rugby. So
yeah, for sure.
I didn't necessarily quit while I was ahead, but it just worked out that, I ended up, I graduated from law school. I applied to Kelly Santini to be an Arkling student. They were the only firm I applied to, actually. Thankfully, they hired me. And I went on to Article there, and there wasn't time for kind of playing competitive rugby anymore. Still played with the Irish, which was really fun. And then that brought me basically to where I am now. I was hired back as a lawyer, and this year, instead of rugby, I decided to box. So that's basically my rugby career.
Wow. So do you feel that rugby had an influence in your career? Like, do you think it like provided you with like the tenacity and like clearly you're a grinder. So was that just kind of like the proving ground? Like I'm going to smash everything on the field until I get a spot. Like that's like pure grinder, right? Like, so do you think that translated into you getting, like, you didn't get into law school the first time? Do you think
Nope.
rugby was part of that determination that you had?
Well, I know that you're going to ask me this question later on, but kind of who's my inspiration and what
we can totally do it right now. Okay, so while we're here, let's do it. So what was your inspiration at that point?
Well, I guess it's I have my dad, to be honest, to thank for inspiring me, because he's now retired. He was an armored officer for about 35 years, and then he went on to retire, and then he failed retirement by being the academic director at CMR Saint Jean for 10 years after that. So he's a really cool guy. He's seen and done so much, and he's very much some motivation for all of my siblings and me. He's never pushed us to kind of be in the Army, but my brother's a petty officer in the Navy now. My cousin's an armored, corporal. My uncle was a Vandu. My stepmom was in the Air Force. She's got 21 years of experience. My dad was a 35-year veteran. So like those things, I was like, okay, if they can all stick to something for so long, and it just kind of, they've all dealt with their trials and tribulations and stuff. I was like, well, I can't really give up, can I? So, for instance, one example is when I was working at the casino and I wanted to be part of the team. It's a 5-person team that participates in the Grande Fipe à la Voix.
Sorry,
every year. I tried out.
Were you dealing like blackjack? Like what? Like
so the casino. So I wasn't a dealer per se. I worked in customer service. I was there for 5 years, so I did a bunch of different things.
Okay, cool.
So I was in customer service. I was like an interim supervisor. I was a coat check girl. I was a door person. I was a voiturier, so a valet. Like I did all that stuff. And I remember one year I tried out for that Grande Fipe à la Voix team, and it's 5 cyclists who do this every year, and they raise over $11,000, and they basically do 1,000-kilometer, 60-hour bike marathon with an RV. So the RV follows you. There's always 2 cyclists on the road, so there's a lot of sleep deprivation in there. But that didn't really bother any of us because it's open 24 hours, so we're already sleep deprived, right? So I tried out for that team, didn't make it because they're like, well, you don't have any experience in pelotons. You don't even have your own bike. So that year, I told the captain of the team, I was like, well, I'm going to work on those things and I'll talk to you next year. So I basically saved up all my tips from being coat check and voiturier. I bought my own road bike, participated in their training and stuff like that. And I tried out the next year and I made the team, and I was on the team for 4 years after that. So, and then same thing with law school. Didn't make it the first time, reapplied, realized, okay, well, I didn't work on my grades enough during my bachelor's degree. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to wear it, and I'm going to work for another year to get my grades up. And then I reapplied to law school, got in. And then, same thing with the rugby team. Wasn't, I was, the end guard. I sat at the end of the bench guarding the water type thing.
It's like interesting position. I've never heard of it before.
And then I finally got a chance, and I did the absolute best on everything that I could possibly control, right? Because there's some things that are out of your control, right? Like if you fit in the team and the coach makes the ultimate decision. So if you've done absolutely everything that you could possibly do on everything that you can control, well, ultimately, if the coach doesn't choose you to be on that specific team, you at least have the satisfaction of knowing that you've done everything you could possibly do with the things that you can control. So all that to say that I have my family to thank for the inspiration for just not giving up.
Solid. Yeah. Good role models go a hell of a long way, right?
Big time.
Like you said, like your dad never really, he didn't force you to join the military or anybody in your family, but obviously they saw the model and he was successful, and you guys all realized that it was something that could, you could excel at as well. So like for me, like it was, my grandfather was in the military, and I always looked at that, because I never really got to know him because he passed away when I was really young. So I always kept that in like high regard. And once that enters your mind, and especially like the grinder mentality, I think that's something that comes when you're early. Like that's something that just never really goes away. I don't know if you can, like I've been a coach for a while. I don't know if you can coach that. I think it's one of those things that's like in you or not. And you see it in like pro sports too, right? Like guys are grinders for a reason. It's just, that's how they are built. And that's for sure how like everything they do is they grind it and they get through it and they're successful through the grind, which is freaking awesome. Okay. So
yeah, there's one really good quote that I heard. It was, you can be as naturally talented as you want, but nothing ever beats hard work. So right. I don't know who said it, but we'll just say anonymous at the bottom of that quote.
Although something I did, come across in my readings was like the whole concept of like all you need to do is hard work and you'll be super successful. So just to counter that point a little bit, right? As long as you're doing hard work for the right things, then you'll end up having that success. Hard work for the sake of hard work doesn't always necessarily translate into something worth.
Yeah, it sometimes it's just not efficient enough to be kind of to yield results, but also just generally being a good person. And I find that if you're capable of that, if genuinely just caring about, and that's diplomacy, right? Genuinely caring about the well-being of others, that's the basis of any relationship, right? So I feel like that helps a lot. People say networking. I'm a strong believer of just nurturing meaningful relationships based on trust and like mutual respect and just kind of wanting, generosity also, like wanting to help each other out and just truly just being there for each other and actually caring about each other, not just saying, how are you, to get the good and it's like beyond that. So that I find is also a really great kind of, I guess it helps yield success, but success on several different levels that are quite meaningful.
Absolutely.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Very, very convincing argument. It sounds like you do this for a living.
Yes, I may or may not be an advocate and get paid for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you touched on networking, and a few of the episodes I've done have dealt with, military members and networking, and usually our lack of networking abilities or our lack of nurturing networks, especially when we're, leaving the military, like you're not at that stage yet, but you're also established in your career. It's so important to have those lasting bonds when you're about to leave, and then to maintain them as you progress through. And, like people at your unit, right? Your buddies and stuff like that. They're buddies, but also, we're all here to help out, at the end of the day. Like, and
the unit, my buddies, my clients, they're my mentors, like so many reasons. And this is one of the main points I made at my law firm for helping, sorry to cut you off, but I just like, this is one of the main points I've made because of course I have a civilian employer, right? They have no idea what being a reservist means. They have no idea what being in the Canadian Armed Forces means, aside from, their family and friends who have done it or are currently doing it. So hiring on a reservist who's also a lawyer was a very new thing for them. And thankfully, they knew what they signed up for because I was very clear about it. Even when I articled, there was, I started my articles a little later because I was doing my weapons debt member course after my DP1. And they were totally, very flexible with that. And then after getting hired back as an articling student, of course, I had already signed my full-time summer employment kind of contract. And because I didn't know if I had guaranteed employment yet. So I was like, well, I'm going to always have like a plan, like something so I can keep earning income and paying my rent and stuff. So I had already signed that contract. So like, perfect. So go away for the 2 months, come back, you'll come back as a lawyer. I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty great. And then Op Lentis 2019, we were deployed for 2 weeks and it was like last minute. And of course, as a reservist, they're aware that I have the choice, right? I don't have to be deployed. And that's a point of flexibility that I enjoy. But again, the firm was like, no worries. Like, as long as you take care of your files in a way that if anyone was to swoop in and come and look at your file, they know where you're at. Because while I'm a reservist, I also have a fiduciary obligation to my clients, right, to represent their best interests. So it's about balancing those competing and very worthy values. And I'm really lucky to have an employer that supports that very much. So I'll be going on my PLQ hopefully in the winter for up to 4 months. And again, my employer is unbelievably helpful and supportive. So it's important to have that piece. Anyway, that's kind of a bracket that I'll close now, but we can reopen it later if you like. But having civilian employers support reservists and also see the benefits of hiring veterans and reservists is just a huge piece that I am personally very, very behind for a number of reasons. But yeah, sorry.
Very cool. Yeah. I can't echo that, enough really. It's just that there's a lack of understanding because there's just they really, when you think about it, there's not many. Like when you look at like Canadian society as a whole, how many people have interactions with anybody that's in the military? It's very few, very, very few.
Yeah. It's a small army. It's a small population too. The country, we're so little, like 35 million. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So, when you have an employer, the odds are they've never dealt with anybody from the military because, if you're Reg Force, cool. Like you're in the Reg Force, that's your career, done. Reservists, you can have reserve, but a lot of times, at least I was very kind of, I'm not going to say guarded, but, like I talked about it if people asked, but I wasn't like, hey, I'm a reservist, man. I'm going on exercise this weekend. Like I didn't make any kind of stink about it. I really didn't bring it up as much as maybe I could have. I mean, my students used to ask me all the time because they're like 14, 15-year-old boys. And they're like, you fired guns? I'm like, yeah.
I do. And it's really fun.
And it's a lot of fun. It's even better. Yeah. Claymore mines. They're like, wow, mind blown, So, and just as a side note, I definitely had some sort of effect, although I definitely did not recruit. I wasn't recruiting in my classroom, but there's been like a new cohort of dudes that have all joined the reserve units here in Montreal. Oh, cool. So yeah, I'm really proud of them. Like they all kind of, they've all reached out at some point, been like, hey sir, thanks for helping me. Like I realized it was a big part of your life and I wanted to be the same thing. So, that was cool to see because, some of the guys just, like I was the same way too. 19, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I found the reserves, and it's the best thing I ever did, really, because it just sorted me out. Although I joined for the wrong reasons. Yeah, I didn't join to like serve my country. Like I think that's I think people put a lot of weight on like a 19-year-old soldier to be like able to discern why he's joining the military for like some nobler cause. I mean, I'm sure there are, but for me, it was,
I agree with you. The great majority is going to be you're joining because you want and need a full-time job. And this is a great go because you're fed and you're clothed and they basically take care of everything for you. So it's the ideal situation for a 19-year-old.
Well, not to mention like the fact that you're going to make money, shoot guns, blow things up, but with the hopes of making you seem really cool so you could pick up chicks. Like that was, it was like all led together. I'm like, so wait a second. Yeah. When you're 19, that's all you're thinking about. It's like, okay, I'll put up with sitting in a hole, getting rained on for an entire summer. And I'll come back and with all my mosquito bites and shaved head and like emaciated body, then I'll be attractive to women. That was my
it's so funny. But I think that as you progress in your military career, no matter how young you were, I think that just by sheer drilling it in over and over again, people do start to realize, I guess, the undertaking, right, that they signed on for, the idea of service before self and the unlimited liability, and the fact that you were happy to essentially put yourself in harm's way if it means that the mission can, be successful. So I think that you learn that with time and maturity, and just a little sprinkling of experience too. Because I by no means have really any experience. I have just over 3 years in the reserves, and I mean, I think of guys like you and David Sutcliffe. Like you guys are like Afghan vets. You guys have seen actual things. Where I've seen very little. It's a good thing I consider it because we're in a peacetime I say that in massive brackets, but but it's I consider it a good thing because that means that we're not putting guys in harm's way. But at the same time, with that little bit of experience, even with the limited amount of experience that I've had, it's you do learn and you do realize very quickly kind of the undertaking that you've signed up for.
Yeah, hands down.
And it makes guys mature really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had this conversation, I've had a few times too with especially reservists that they don't want to take on the title of veteran, and I get that, but then they shy away from everything that is like quote unquote veteran related, and even if they're injured or whatever, they're like, oh, I didn't go overseas, so therefore I'm not a veteran. But like I've told these guys, I'm like, how many people have actually made the decision to put your name on the dotted line and sign your life to the government, which is essentially what you're doing for unlimited liability? Like, that's what distinguishes you from the rest of the Canadian population. And that's why you're considered a veteran, because most people won't put the sacrifice in. And that's why there's that difference and that like appreciation, that extra respect, because you decided that I'm going to do this for my country. And, whether you're a police officer, stuff like that, like these are all very noble professions, but they don't have that unlimited liability. So like the veteran has a distinct, place in society. And it's unfortunate that some guys they feel like because they didn't step foot on a foreign country that they're not a veteran, even though they might have had 10, 15 years in the forces, it's unfortunate, but slowly I hope that mentality changes. So we've covered rugby, we've covered law, we've covered your punching other people in the face. So could you give us just the lowdown? How do we end up donating to your cause? Where is it? When? How do we show up? Like, give us the full set of details so max amount of participation can happen.
All right. So to donate, you can go to Fight for the Cure and look up my name. I'm one of the participants. It's Afton Maisonneuve. And then you'll get my donation page there, and you can donate directly there. Of course, you'll get a tax receipt. You can also look me up on any of my social media platforms, Aftonis_Mez on Instagram, LinkedIn, Afton Maisonneuve, or Facebook, again, Aftonis Mez. So you can, the links are all there as well, and anything helps. So I'm talking like $5 up to whatever amount that you can afford that day. Basically, if you're willing to donate what you were planning to spend on your Starbucks mocha latte, I would be very, very grateful. And it would go towards an unbelievable cause. I really, quite frankly, and I know there's so many different asks out there, and it's so tough to kind of ask for more, but really I'm only asking for $5 minimum, and whatever you can give, it's very appreciated. So I appreciate anything that anyone is willing to give very much. So yeah, that's how you can find me, and that's how you can find the event.
Awesome. Just from putting your name in Google, you've got 3 pages worth of Google searches. So you're blowing up the internet. I was like, holy smokes. So if you can't find her, all these links are going to be in the show notes, and you can check it out. And I'm definitely going to be posting on my Facebook page as well. So you can check it out there. And so let's just, we've talked about your inspiration already, and that being your family. And let's go right into what makes you hard to kill.
What makes me hard to kill? Well, I'm pretty darn relentless. Use the word grinder. That's a good word. I feel like, the Austin Powers, I think it's the Goldmember movie, Will Ferrell, and he just can't kill him.
Mustafa.
You know what I mean? Can't kill his character. I feel like I'm that guy.
My leg, it smells like almonds. Yeah. It is becoming
to get up, but I just broke my other leg. So I feel like I'm that dude. It's no matter what you do, I'll just keep trying to get up. Just keep trying to, survive. So that is what makes me hard to kill. Just my relentlessness to a fault sometimes, and incapacity to give up again to a fault sometimes. That's probably what makes me hard to kill.
Solid. Everybody that's been on has said, just relentless. Dude, I'm just relentless. It's really, it's the most common thing that everybody says. It's just I'm a grinder. Just gonna keep on going until I figure it out or die. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, like that's wicked.
That's it though. Like I said, there's no secret. There's no kind of rocket science. It's just, well, keep on going. If you're not dead, just keep going. And that's it. Just don't give up.
Every now and then you get a few punches in the face, but you just gotta suck it up. A few deep sobs. And get back out there. I'm gonna get through this. Awesome. And hey, do you have any books or podcasts that people might be interested in that we can share with them?
Oh yeah. I am an avid reader. My partner is also a very avid reader. Only this year I actually started having the time to read books I chose, because before that it was law school and then the bar exam. So there was no reading that I chose, although I don't mind that reading, obviously, choosing my career. I just finished reading Beyond Band of Brothers by Major Dick Winters. He is unreal. That's a really good book. I know that you read, Band of Brothers. Stephen Ambrose, one of the most talented historical writers of our time, I would say. Mm-hmm. So that's a really good book. But Beyond Band of Brothers, I don't know if you've read it or not, but it kind of goes beyond it. It really does, true to its title. And it kind of gives you another glimpse of it from Dick Winters' perspective. And of course, he's an okay human. Like, he's just an unbelievable man. And like, there's a solid 10 pages at the end of it that he really goes into kind of some really practical and practicable leadership kind of just qualities and things that he found help him be successful as a leader, and then, in the military and beyond. And anyway, it's just let the education begin, basically, when you start reading that book. And it's just so inspiring. And right now I'm reading No Easy Day by Mark Owen. That's he was on SEAL Team 6, part of the team that got Osama bin Laden there. Yeah. So he's, again, another, okay dude. I mean, he's a little cool, I guess. Another unbelievable human. And just, so I'm reading that. I just started it a couple of days ago, so I'm looking forward to getting through that one too. And I'm just kind of enjoying reading books that I choose, to be honest with you. So,
Yeah. After you, especially, I can only imagine what it's like going through law school. Like, I mean, any degree is a ton of reading, but law school just wow. So and there definitely seems to be a general theme to your books. So that's although I can't say I'm surprised. With the Army leadership theme, that's freaking awesome. Look, before we wrap up, do you have other than all your links and everything like that? I think you mentioned Instagram, stuff like that. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the easiest? Is it like Facebook or is it Instagram? And we'll make sure that's in the show notes.
Yeah. Honestly, any one of those, I'm more than happy to, chat with people and, be inspired by people. I find that it's very much like a one-way street towards, like, anytime someone talks to me or kind of chit-chats with me about stuff that they've been through, I'm so inspired. So I'm happy to chat, happy to discuss, Fight for the Cure. If you have any issues with the, donating or anything like that, let me know. I'll hop in right away. Just happy to be here. Really, really appreciative that you're doing this and that you're helping out and that you're putting me on your Facebook and that you've taken the time to talk to me, because, it's pretty cool.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It's awesome having people like you on the show. And it's been really you don't know what's going to happen. But it's been one of the best things I've decided to do, aside from, get married to my wife and have kids. The podcast is close third. Yeah, I saved that. My wife doesn't listen all the way through. I know she doesn't. So I'll tell her this time, though. Maybe she'll listen all the way through in this one. So
yeah, there you go.
I'll see.
Well done.
But, yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been a real pleasure having you on, Afton, and I wish you all the best. It'd be cool if I can come down to Ottawa and watch you fight. And if I am, I'll definitely let you know. But in the meantime, let's stay in touch, and good luck on the 19th.
Thank you very much, Dave. Thanks so much for having me. Have a good one, and try to get some sleep.
Yeah, I'll definitely try. Have a good one, Afton.
You too, Dave.
Fellas, are you sick and tired of being tired? worn out, kind of chubby, not as strong as you used to be, just overall not feeling like you're at your optimal state. Well, look, I put together a training program that is meant to shed that belly fat, get your testosterone levels up, and just basically feel like a freaking lion again. So you know what? If you guys are interested, I'd love to have you on board, man. So let's start a quick conversation. Drop me a line, head to Google, type in Dave Morrow PT. You'll find me there, or on Facebook, Dave Morrow PT. And you know what, man? Let's make it happen. Get on board. It's a 12-week program. It's called The Beast. All right, so the beast is coming, bros. The beast is coming. So sign up. I'll get you on board, and we'll get rocking and rolling with some heavy lifting, some instinctive nutrition, and just some good mindset shit to get you back in the game. Does that sound like a plan? All right, guys. Hope to see you in the program. We'll get you signed up. We'll get you ready to go. Come join the beast. On top of that, just for signing up, without any commitment whatsoever, I'll throw in just a free meal planner for you guys. How's that sound? All right, yeah. Okay, come on. Get in. Get in here, man. The beast is coming. Time to enter beast mode.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can find out more about training, nutrition, and mindset at davemorrow.net. Be sure to like us on Facebook and Instagram at Dave Morrow PT. And don't forget, strong people are hard to kill.